So we're sitting here at Ultimate MMA with Nick Newell in Connecticut, and you have a fight coming up on April 13th at XFC 17, Apocalypse, I believe, against Chris Coggins, who's 5-1. How do you see this fight going?
I'm going to win wherever the fight goes. I'm prepared for a 5-round battle, even though it's only a 3-round fight. And, I'm going to be looking to do what I normally do, and that's push the pace and make it my fight. And, if I can finish it quick, then I'll finish it quick. But Chris is a tough guy, and he's got a great record, and he beat a guy who has wins over UFC guys. And, he was good as an amateur, too. So he's got a lot of experience, and he's tough, well-rounded fighter. So I expect it to be a good fight, but in the end, I'm going to win because I'm going to be better at him wherever the fight goes.
Okay, now he's coming off of 3 submission victories. I mean, you have your own run of submission victories right now. What does that mean to you? How does that change up your game plan a little bit? How do you approach this fight differently?
I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu under Andrew Calandrelli, and I'm not too worried about his submissions. Obviously, I'm going to respect his game, but if you're going to beat me on the ground, you have to be pretty damn good. I'm comfortable if it goes to the ground. I think that him saying that he's going to knock me out tells me that he's uncomfortable with going to the ground with me.
Yeah.
And he has 3 submissions out of all his wins. I have 5, and he's got 3 arm bars in a row, so obviously I'm going to watch out for that.
Of course.
But, I also have 2 arm bar wins as a pro, and I have another arm bar win as an amateur. So does that mean I'm an arm bar guy too? I'm going to be ready. I'm prepared for whatever he gives me.
Okay.
Whenever he brings my way.
Now, have you done anything different to prepare for him in particular?
No, my training camp is usually the same. I'm going to work hard regardless. He wanted to do a catchweight fight at 152 pounds.
Okay.
So that kind of made me train a little bit harder, because I'm a little worried about making weight more. But no matter who I fight, I always have a ton of respect for him and just train as hard as I can and just get ready for anything.
Yeah.
Because something can click in a guy and he could be different from one day to the next. So
True.
You never know what you're going against.
And he's going to be fighting in his home state. Now, does the crowd ever affect you at all? Do you let that get to you, or?
No, I don't even really hear the crowd when I fight. I just hear my coaches, and that's about it. When I go through my head, and I do a lot of visualization, I visualize myself like everyone cheering for me and stuff. So no matter what happens, I'm just gonna picture that,
Yep.
And my last fight, I fought a guy in his home state, and everyone cheered for me too. So it doesn't really matter to me. But I think I'm a pretty respectful guy and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and obviously.
I don't really care if people boo me, but I try to give them a bunch of reasons not to.
Yeah, and I think you've been doing that so far, obviously. Now, of course, one of the biggest hypes about you is the fact that how successful you are, and yet you only have one hand to work with. Now, you've had that one hand since birth. It's not something that you had and then lost. Have you found in mixed martial arts that your left arm kind of sort of wants to do what the right one does, or does it kind of just feel completely natural?
This is how I was born. It's all natural for me. It would be nice sometimes to have a little length on throwing or to be able to throw across, but I compensate well and I mix it in with my elbows, and that actually gives me a style that's kind of really unorthodox, and it's hard for a lot of people to get a read on.
Yeah.
So there's the give and the takes. I can't throw across, but it's forced me to get better at everything else I throw, and it's helped my gap with my elbow and mixing up the attacks and coming in at weird angles. Okay. So
now in training, for instance, how do you adapt with your arm? Where do you see the biggest disadvantages, like you said, like the cross, and where do you see the biggest advantages from it?
It's all just like natural, I'd say there's not really much of a difference. My grip is a little tighter when I go like this, but I just have to get deeper. If other people, when they did moves, got as deep as I do, then their grip would be crazy tight too. There's really no difference. The one thing is, like, before I started, people you know, if I was getting attention before I started, they say, oh, this guy can never fight. How's he ever going to tap someone out or grab someone or do something like that? And, you know, I did it. I went and I did it, and now I'm doing it. And people are saying, oh, that's an advantage now.
Yeah,
you know, like, people are just going to say things no matter what. But I have a lot of supporters, too, you know, that are behind me 100%. So I try to focus more on that stuff.
Excellent. Now, are there rules and regulations that you have run into because of your arm? You know, you mentioned on Inside MMA that sometimes it was hard to get a fight for yourself, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people wanted to fight me. Locally, you know, they all want to protect their records, and they try to use my arm as an excuse just to duck me because they knew that they were going to lose. When I was just an amateur, I didn't really have that much trouble finding a fight or my first pro fight or anything like that. You know, but once people kind of figured out that I was good, they kind of used it as a way, like, oh, I'll kill that guy. Like, if you can kill me, then why don't you fight me? You know, like, it's easy if it's an easy win. Or, you know.
Now, do you run into anything as far as like, are you know, requirements of wearing pads? I mean, obviously in your fights before you haven't needed to when you competed. Is there any kind of I'm not sure if there's any kind of rules in place that say what you can or can't throw with, like throw strikes with that, or?
Here's the thing. The issue that a lot of people bring up, and I'm actually happy that you brought this up, because a lot of people are like, oh, he's hitting with his arm, like that's cheating. Like I hit with my elbow.
Yeah.
So if there's no special rules, there's nothing different. I don't hit with the end of it. If I did, it would hurt me more than it would hurt the other guy. It would jam my arm. I don't hit with the end of it. And there's nothing like sharp or anything in here. It's just an elbow, just like everyone else. Right. And if I had to wear an elbow pad, I think that my opponent should have to wear one too.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now, you were recently on Inside MMA. You went down there and there was Roy Nelson and Kung Lee there. You know, what was that experience like?
That was cool. You know, it was like a little hectic because I just flew in, got something to eat. Flew in, got something to eat, did the show, and then went to bed, flew out the next day. But like, it was cool. I've met Box a couple times, and he's always been a cool, like, kind of crazy guy. It was good seeing him again, and you know, our first time meeting Roy Nelson and Kung Lee, both very cool guys. You know, like very down to earth.
Yeah.
You know, like, funny guys behind the scene, you know, and I was surprised that we were all the same height.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But those guys are tough dudes.
Yeah, it's Roy Nelson especially. I mean, that guy's got a chin. He's got a chin. Now, take me through the mentality and your thought process when you saw MMA and said to yourself, you know, I want to do that, or I could do that. You know, did you have any doubts because of your arm? Or had you already overcome that because of wrestling in high school, or? You know, like, what was your thought process starting out in MMA?
Yeah, no, I don't ever doubt myself. If you don't believe in yourself, then you're pretty much just quitting on yourself before you even get started. I have an undying belief in myself and commitment to succeed and be the best at what I do and dedicate myself to, and I'm 100% for it. When I first started, it was more of a hobby. I wanted to learn MMA more so than just jump in there and fight. I wanted to make sure that I had it down and I was good at it before I got myself into it. And then I went to go see a bunch of local fights, and like anyone that goes and sees fights that's trained a little bit, they're like, oh, I think I could beat these guys. Yeah. You know, so I just, after that, I was like, I'm fighting, that's it. And you know, it's been history ever since. Now,
it's quite, you know, it's an inspirational and a compelling story. I mean, obviously, you know, of how you got into the XFC, you know, and for those of those who don't know about you and your friend Abby and, you know, everything that you went through, could you give us some background and just some insights on, you know, this journey you've been on?
Yeah, basically, Abby and I were, you know, like brothers, training partners. He's one of my best training partners. And we were hanging. I had planned. He lives in Massachusetts, and I used to go up and train with him up there. And I was up there the night before, and the next day there was a tryout for the XFC by my house, like maybe like 20 minutes away. And I had planned on going to it the whole time. but he didn't even really plan on going. And I like had to talk him into it almost. Like, actually, not almost. I did have to talk him into it. I was like, come on, just stay at my house. I was like, you know, he's like, I'm hungry though. And I was like, okay, I'll take you to get food. And I took
That's
him,
what always brings people.
took him to Taco Bell or something stupid like that you shouldn't be eating the day before a tryout.
Yeah.
And we went and tried out the next day, and we both made it to the finals. But he won it, and he deserved it. He was the best guy there by far on that day, and he won a contract with the XFC. He got injured, couldn't fight, and then when he was just starting to make his comeback, you know, he got into a motorcycle accident and passed away. So basically, after that, you know, John from the XFC heard the news, and they were really excited to have Abby fight for them. And they basically said that I could, you know, take his contract and fight in his place. And I was pretty honored that they let me do that. Obviously, I would like if both of us were fighting together on the same card. But, you know, I mean, I'm honored to fight for the XFC, and it's a wonderful opportunity.
And they changed the name of that event, Tribute, I believe, right?
Yep.
For that was really cool.
They did a nice piece on Inside MMA on Abby.
Nice.
And, you know, they made the whole show tribute to him.
Very cool.
Which is like very nice.
Yes.
Because I know how much he loved MMA.
Very cool. Now, kind of go back to your roots, and tell me about Brian Myers. Like, you know, like I read something that he was your roommate in college or something like that.
Yes, he was.
And did he really help acquaint you with MMA? Was he kind of like
well, not really. Like he wasn't. He wasn't a fan of MMA. Like he likes it, but he's not like into it. Like he doesn't like know any of the moves. Or like he's like hardcore like pro wrestling. Like
well, obviously
practices.
Now he's
I mean, he's in the WWE now. Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah.
And but he did help me get into MMA because he loved Monday Night Raw so much that he used to watch it every week.
Yeah.
And then it was back when Raw was on Spike TV, and then after Raw. They said, hey, there's this new show, The Ultimate Fighter, and I was like, what is this? Like, I had watched fights before, but I didn't really get it until I watched The Ultimate Fighter. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I got to start doing this. So Monday Night Raw and pro wrestling got me into MMA.
Okay. Now, out of all the fighters from The Ultimate Fighter show, like, who would you say is your favorite?
The Ultimate Fighter show?
Yeah, like, or like maybe the season you were watching then, or just now, or any.
Talent-wise, I'd say the first season and the 5th season probably had the most talent. There's a lot of guys coming through right now that are pretty good. My favorite fighters are, I mean, guys that haven't been on Tough, but
yeah,
you know, I have a respect for, and I'm a fan of a lot of guys that were on the show.
Okay. Now, is it something that you would want to do? Would you want to go on to The Ultimate Fighter?
Right now I'm with the XFC, and they're treating me pretty well, and I have, you know, I just want to fight the best fighters out there. You know, UFC comes calling one day, you know, I'll be ready, but you know, I'm happy where I am right now, and whenever they're ready to have me, I'll definitely.
Okay. So in your career so far, and just in training in general, have you found a particular move or technique that you like, that you favor more than others?
Back in the day when I used to have you know, back when I like didn't really know what I was doing as much, I used to have moves that I did better than other ones. But right now, I'd say I'm pretty well rounded, and I expect everything to come from me. You know, I'm getting my triangles just as good as my rear naked chokes, you know, so. Very
cool. Now you said you had some mottos that you live by in another, actually I think it was the interview with Matt. You know, what are some of those mottos and any other words of wisdom that you followed, you know, any good advice you were given?
You know, never quit because something's too hard. You know, just to believe in yourself and just know that you can do anything. You can't stop someone who's determined to do something. You know, if you want something bad enough, you got to go out there and get it.
Yeah.
And no matter what obstacles you face out there, you can still do it. You know, what they don't see is this. That's the heart. You know, you can see that I have one hand. You can judge me by that, but you can never see what's inside of me.
I like that.
And you know, a lot of people have everything on the outside, but they have nothing on the inside.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that I will fight to the death.
Heart's a big thing in this sport, and something that a lot of people don't have. But on your website now, you're labeled as well, obviously as a fighter, but as also a motivational speaker. So if you had like a one message to like just to get across to everyone and anyone, you know, what would it be?
Like I just said, like, you know, the world, you can't just sit around and expect the world to give everything to you. You know, sometimes things don't go your way. Sometimes, you know, you're born with one hand, or, you know, your family didn't have a lot of money, or you have to work a couple jobs to afford something you want, or pay to go to school. Like, it's not always fair, but the people that are determined, that are willing to push through that, and know what they want, and set their goals, and work to achieve them, you can do anything you want in this world.
Very nice. Now, aside from, obviously, I mean, you enjoyed wrestling, watching with your friend, and fighting. What is one thing about you, you know, that fans don't know that you would like them to know? You know, something cool about you that maybe, you know, doesn't come out through regular interviews or something. What's something about you that you want people to know about? Besides that, you know, you're trying at scramble.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do good at scramble with friends, but you always beat me, and it kind of, I'm a competitor through and through, so even when I lose at that, I get a little pissed off.
You kicked my ass in the cage, so you already have that ahead of me.
You know, basically, I'm just a nice guy. You know, I'm chill. I like to relax and just try to be respectful to everyone. You know, I graduated from Western New England University, and
What was your degree?
in communication.
Okay.
You know, I'm just like everyone else, but I just like to beat people up in my spare time. You know.
Very good. Now, last question. What is your let's just get it down on paper. What is your official prediction for the huge fight of Nick Newell and Chris Coggins at XFC 17? Who wins? What round? What method?
I'm gonna have to go with Nick Newell on this one.
Good choice.
I would tell you how, but then I would give away a little bit of what I expect.
Excellent. All right, well, I think that'll wrap it up, and I want to thank you, Nick, for sitting down with me, and I wish you the best of luck at XFC 17 and your career going forward, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.